What's up, good people? Welcome to TajeAstrology. It's time for a little astrology gossip. Let's take a look at these celebrities' astrological placements to see what they're really like behind closed doors, and take a look at the energy that's around them. Yeah, we gonna be all up in their business, but keep in mind that all readings are for entertainment purposes only. So you ready? Let's go. What's up, everyone? It's your girl Tom, and it's time for another love profile reading. Let me get my background music going here. And you know what, y'all? If it gets a little glitchy, I'm going to blame Mercury retrograde. I've been having all types of issues today. So hopefully we can make it through this mofo. All right? So, like I said, we are going to be talking about the absolute beautiful Miss Mary J. Blige, right? And so, as you know, with the love profiles, we just kind of take a look at what their chart says, like who they are as a person from a love profile standpoint. And, I have loved Mary J. Blige from the very beginning. I think we all kind of bonded with her through her music, because at the end of the day we don't know her, but we know what we know of her through her music, right? And I don't like follow her, especially now in the age that we're in now. We can like follow every movement of these celebrities. And I come from the age, me and Mary J, we were both born in 71, and that just wasn't a thing. We found about our celebrities in the magazines, right? Or if they happen to do an interview on like MTV or BET or something along that line. And it's still, even now, kind of amazes me on how now you can watch like basically every move your favorite celebrity or entertainer makes if they put their lives out there like that. So it still is kind of amazing to me. It's like now fans get to grow up. It's like we were able to grow up with the entertainers, but from a distance. And now you can be right in their house knowing everything that they do. I don't know. I'm old, so it's interesting, but it's kind of, I don't know. It's kind of a lot. But anyway, through her music and what we were able to see, the news that talked about her different relationships and what have you, um, that we were privy to, we got a glimpse into her life, right? But mainly through her music. And although I love her music, we have to admit that her music did have like an energy of sadness to it. It was like a beautiful sadness, but sadness nonetheless, right? And then even her demeanor seemed a little sad. Her like energetic feel seemed a little bit sad, right? But we still love her nonetheless. And I think that's how we bonded, because at some point we all experience a form of sadness, some more than others, especially in relationships. And that's how she touched us. That's how we connected with her and she connected with us. So of course I had to take a look at her chart to see, okay, what is Mary really like, right? And of course, this is for entertainment purposes only, and this is just an interpretation of the aspects that I have in front of me. But I believe that it's a fairly good indication or interpretation or variation of the two, right? So we have Miss Mary, born January 11th, 71, New York is the birth information that I have. Of course, I don't have birth time, so that won't allow me to see her rising sign. And the rising sign pretty much tells us um, how we, the outside, view her, right? So I mean, we know how we view her, right? but it will give indications of other placements. So with that date of birth, that makes her Capricorn sun. And that right there, that kind of tells a lot about why she seems very serious, right? Because we have Capricorns is very serious energy, this hard working energy that's focused and dedicated on her craft. And we know she has given us years of music, uh, uh, entertainment, all of that, right? And this is also a provider, right? So she's gonna take care of business. She's gonna take care of the people that she loves. Um, and I would imagine again, this is why she probably seemed unbothered because Capricorns usually aren't overly emotional. They may have emotional moments, but they're not going to be super over the top with that, right? Now, she has Cancer Moon. Okay, Moon is in her Cancer house. And so that is a lot of emotional energy, right? Because we know the Cancers are very, very emotional, very, very moody, right? As well as very intuitive, right? And I, looking at her chart, she probably has a passive aggressive approach to her emotions, right? Especially with her sun. Her sun is smack direct across from her moon. Her sun opposes her moon, right? And so what that tells me is that she may not she may not be that kind that gets frantic, be over the top emotional, and she might have a conflict between how she feels and what she displays, right? But when she does express herself emotionally, it's probably in a passive aggressive way. She's not going to just be aggressive and just be raw, out there, and it's not going to be passive to where you can't find out what's going on. So she's going to let you know, kind of more like in an indirect, direct type of situation, right? So she just have a lot of Sagittarius energy, right? She has actually a stellium in Sagittarius, right? So Mercury, we have Neptune, and we have Venus. Right. So in her private life, she's probably a little bit more jovial, probably especially when she is within a relationship. Um, no doubt that she's probably a very intelligent woman. Um, and I think that with Mercury in Sagittarius, with that Venus there, I think that is a reflection of her music, right? Because Sagittarius, they aim to hit their mark. So when you pull in that Venus Sagittarius energy, and Venus aligns with love, and I think that that's how she was able to like hit our souls with that music because she was able to pull in her energy that she was experiencing on a personal level, put it in that music, that love music, because that's what she does. She makes love music. And I think that was how she was able to hit our souls in that way. Now, I do see that she has Venus conjunct Neptune in Sagittarius, right? And so with Venus being in Sagittarius, that's her love mark, right? And I would imagine that again, when she's in love, when she's in a relationship, she's probably a little bit more jovial, a little bit more happy, right? And she wants those that's around her to be happy, right? She wants them to enjoy life. I don't feel that she's like a Debbie Downer, even when she's in her most depressive state, right? Because she does have some challenging aspects with that, and hitting her Sagittarius energy. I imagine that she's probably flirty, and she's interested in someone because Sagittarius are flirty, right? They like variety. But I do believe that Neptune conjunct that Venus, I think sometimes she's easily led astray emotionally, right? Because Neptune brings uh, blurred boundaries and it's dreamy energy, especially around love, right? And so I think that with that energy, she sometimes she chooses to see potential instead of actual reality when dealing with her partners. Now, in her Scorpio house, she has Mars conjunct Jupiter, and what how I am interpreting that is that she likes to align herself with powerful men, right? And probably powerful men that align that uses power and money to assert their level of power within her life, right? And I think that energy, anytime you're dealing with Scorpio, and then you have more that this transformative energy, and it's very physical, right? It's an assertion of physical dominance within her life. And I do, if I'm not mistaken, I do believe that she dated one of the cats in Jodeci. And if I'm not mistaken, there was some arguments, some fighting, some domestic type shit going on there. If I'm not mistaken, you all can comment below, because that was a long time. I remember the story vaguely, and I remember being much younger than I am now. And like I said, she was uh, Jan- uh, she's January 71. I'm November 71, so we're very very close in age. So I would imagine she was young in that as well, but she definitely aligns herself with men, probably toxic men that pull their power over her. Right. Going to her Libra house. So her Libra house is she has Uranus in her Libra house. We know that Libra is the house of partnerships, relationships, marriage, that type of thing, right? And so that I would imagine that with this placement, she experiences a lot of unexpected shifts and changes, probably out of nowhere within relationships. And, it probably starts off very cool and calm and collected and feels very familiar and faded and all of that. And then, bam, it changes, it flips, right? And so that also, this placement also tells me that she is attracted to men that are different and strange and unusual, and probably men that are emotionally unavailable, right? Whose focus really isn't on relationships, or the focus may be on relationships, but that Uranus energy flips it, where okay, I'm all in, I'm all in, I'm all in, then maybe not, I'm not in, and I think that she really internalizes the effects of relationships, and I think that it takes a toll on her, and she kind of take it as being unworthy of partnerships, or maybe her overall value. uh she perceives it as being less valuable as a person, or the hit on not being a priority in relationships, because her that Uranus energy in Libra is in direct opposition of her Aries house, which houses her Chiron. And we know that Chiron is the wounded healer, and Aries is self. So, she's taken some hits throughout her life with feeling the feeling, because just because she interprets it that way doesn't mean that it's that way. So even if she feels unworthy of not being a priority, that doesn't mean it's reality, but that is maybe her interpretation of herself. And it seems like from a very young age, she may not have felt uh, worthy, may not have felt a priority in people's lives, and in the people's lives that she is in partnership with and coming close contact with, right? Let me see here. So also, she has um, Juno conjunct Saturn in Taurus, right? In her Taurus house. And Juno is the relationship. I don't know if Juno is an asteroid. I think Juno is an asteroid. I can't remember, but it is the symbol of relationships. And she has it in Taurus. Now, Saturn is conjunct that. So we notice Saturn brings limitations, um, and Saturn teaches you. Saturn always wants to teach a mofo lessons, right? And so with it being in this Taurus placement, I believe that she wants a beautiful, loyal man that will love her and bring stability within her life and within their relationship, right? Because that's what Taurus brings, right? They're loyal. And to bring that grounded, supportive nature. And like I said, Saturn is there bringing restrictions, bringing lessons. And so, what this place is telling me is that there's a lesson that she needs to learn within the relationships that she encounters, right? And I believe that that lesson is found in that opposing house, that Mars conjunct Jupiter in Scorpio. And I think that she wants that loyal, grounded, stable man, but she ends up picking the bad boy. I don't know if that's a pun intended or no pun intended, if you know what I mean. But with this energy, she's picking the mysterious man. She's picking the dangerous man. She's picking, you know, what is it? Need I say toxic men? Because it's in Scorpio. We know the Scorpios can be toxic, especially the men. We know this, right? And I think that when I look at that um, Mars in Scorpio, I see, I do see Diddy, and I know that they were friends, right? But I feel that energy, and I'm not saying I don't know if they had like a romantic situation. I would have to kind of pull his chart up and compare it with hers. Maybe, maybe not. I don't know. It's a possibility, but they could have been just they could have been just homies. I don't know. I'll have to look it up. I haven't looked it up in this reading. It'll be another reading. Um, but so she's attracted in aligns with the dangerous man, but then she's expecting that Taurus man, that grounded man, that one and they're opposites. That it's not going to happen, you know. So lastly, this is what kind of stood out in her chart. And if you look at the visual that I've created, that is her chart. That's I've taken out the aspects because it's a lot. When you add aspects in all those lines, it's a lot. And I think visually it's more appealing for this visual not to have aspects. I don't know. Maybe in the future I will add aspects, but I didn't in this. But when I look at her chart with the aspects, what stands out to me is that she has a grand, I call it a grand square, but I think the actual correct term is grand cross, right? And basically, what it is it's four four aspects that square each other. All right. So visualize this if you can. She has the South Node in Aquarius square that Mars and Jupiter in Scorpio, okay, that squares her North Node in Leo. That squares her Algol, which is in real close proximity to that Juno in Saturn placement. That squares back to that South Node in Aquarius. That is what stood out. And I believe that is why she has this overall energy of sadness, and why a lot of her music reflects that, why we feel that, and some energy that she needs to kind of overcome. Now, let me briefly kind of go over what those placements are, right? So Al Goal represents, this is, primal feminine power, raw, right? And as I'm saying this, we can feel this in her music. We can feel this in her energy field, right? It also represents rage, betrayal, and like survival through and throughout that betrayal, right? It's sexual intensity. It's like a taboo energy, right? It's also like a loss of control, but then reclaiming that power that Al Goal, because I kept saying Al Goal, but it's Al Goal with an L at the end. Um, Reclaiming that energy, that power that it represents, right? And so when our goal is active in the chart, it activates um, intense, obsessive, and karmic partners. It's toxic cycles. It's betrayal. It's power struggles. It's also strong sexual magnetism, right? So um, people are drawn, right? They're drawn into this, right? And so with our goal, the lessons around it is not losing yourself in relationships, and I think that that is something that she finds herself doing. And then reclaiming your voice after the betrayal happens, and I think that betrayal is happening because she's looking at things through rose colored glasses with that Neptune influence in her next to that Venus placement. And then we had, what was that song? She has a couple of songs where she's reclaiming. It's like we see her life through her music. And there was like a couple of songs coming below those songs that it's like, okay, I've been beaten down, I've been taken advantage, I've been betrayed, but I've come, I'm reclaiming, I'm rising up, right? And we know that Scorpio, once they crash and burn, we rise up through the ashes, right? And you kind of, it's transformative pain into power, right? And I think, I know y'all feel this because I'm getting hyped just analyzing this chart, right? And then you got Juno. Juno is the committed partnership aspect. I gotta find out if that's a. I'm pretty sure it's an asteroid. But anyway, all right. So it represents committed relationships, marriage, and also like what you require within a long-term partner. I'm currently working on a client's chart who has a grand square with this placement, right? And so Juno kind of tells you what you need in partnership for stability, right? What you expect in your commitment, right? It also talks about power dynamics within a relationship, where you may experience betrayal or imbalance, right? Juno talks about your pattern in marriage, right? And it shows the type of partner that you attract or want to attract long term. Juno is also, it reveals like jealousy triggers, and I really feel that, even though I did not pull up her ex-husband, but I feel that with that dynamic, that there was some jealousy there, and it may be because of how he hit her in the pockets after they divorced. It's like, that, for those of you all that feel, I know y'all felt that was some bullshit. But anyway, also represents and kind of shows control issues, and then the loyalty themes within it, right? And when it's negatively impacted, it's staying in relationships too long, it's power struggles, and it's a dependency. And when it's positively aspected, it does create like a equal partnership, and it's like a positive autonomy within a relationship, right? But mind you, this is a grand square or grand cross, right? And so I with this, how I'm interpreting is that she keeps finding herself in this loop of relationships with men, right? And it's karmic, of course, because you got the nodes there, and it's very relationship focused energy. She relationships are very important to her, right? And so with this grand cross or grand square, you got the North Node in Aquarius, and so that energy is like, it's growth about being independent, emotionally objective, and not losing yourself in relationships. So that is what her, uh, what she wants to strive towards, right? But then you have the South Nodes in Leo, right? And so you want that romantic, dramatic, passionate, all consuming love, that is tied to validation, because we do know that Leos require that validation, right? And so there you have it's a pull, it's a being pulled, being torn between attention, romance driven love versus like being attached and self honoring love, right? Then you add in that Jupiter conjunct that Mars in Scorpio, and that's that deep, obsessive, it's all or nothing love and in energy, right? So we're talking that intense attraction, sexual chemistry, and power struggles. And I do believe that sex is a big part of her connections, okay? Because they feel faded, they feel consuming, right? So anyone that she is sexually interacting with, they're gonna feel like a soulmate, basically, right? Because Scorpio is a motherfucker, and so is Mars. Mars is sex. Scorpio is also sex, and it's there's a connection there that it's an intensity that you can't put your finger on, right? And then when you add in the Saturn with the Algol and that Jupiter, it's commitment with heavy lessons, right? It and also it is with Saturn there. Saturn is going to delay stable relationships. So I don't know. I'm hoping that as she get older, she will probably be able to master a lot of these energies and can recognize what has happened in the past, because Saturn to keep bringing that shit back until you learn your lesson and you pass that lesson, right? And realize the karmic partners, right? um with that Saturn, Algol, and Juno, that is karmic partners. It is betrayal and harsh wake up calls and learning boundaries the hard way, right? And Al Gore, with that energy, that's raw edges, power struggles, is emotional extremes, and it's feeling burned in love. This is a very, very, very heavy energy. It's intense energy. It's draining energy. I feel drained. Because I do absorb the energies of the charts that I read. But it is what it is. It's all right. It's all right. Because I also know how to release the energy once the reading is done, which is very, very, very important. But basically, she wants deep, passionate love, right? But every time she goes too far into intensity, into that control, and into like losing herself, and then she's hit hard with a reality check. And so when she first gets into the relationships, it feels magnetic. She feels the heavy, complicated energy that it brings. And then when that wake up call comes, I will tell you that she is growing she is being transformed and evolving with every relationship that she has encountered. I can tell you that the very first heartbreak, she's learned from it. She's learned from it in the second heartbreak and the third. So she is learning from it. It's hard for her not to learn. But she's taken some hits. We have felt her hits, right? And the hits that we have taken, we've connected with the hits that she's taken. And I think maybe the reason why I can relate with this, because I'm a Scorpio, right? So um so her lesson in this, and I do believe that with this formation, she's evolving, right? She's evolving, she's maturing in her relationship dynamics, right? And each one, she's becoming a little bit more critical, a little, especially with that Saturn there. She's taking, because that Saturn is touching her sun. So every time she takes an emotional hit, but she's also learning. And that's what you want. That's what you want. Everybody can't find that first love and stay with that first love. Sometimes people gotta go through the process, go through the cycles, or what have you. And so I think with this uh, aspect, this formation, this grand square, she just has to learn not equating love with intensity, right? And I know that it's hard with that Mars and Scorpio, because there's a tendency to show love through sex, right? And everybody can process that as they should. And some people take advantage of that aspect, right? And I think also she's learning how to detach, healthy, healthier detachments, right? And then I think that with each relationship, she is gaining a stronger identity to self, right? And recognizing that partnerships, they should not be control based. They should not be obsession based, right? And it should be a healthy balance of emotional highs and lows. Yeah, relationships, you're going to have the highs and the lows, but the baseline of it needs to be even flow. And I think that she has encountered partners that they take her up and down, up and down, up and down. And also, I believe that with that moon in um, Cancer, she's right there with those emotional highs and lows, highs and lows, highs and lows. And again, that is a hit on her sun, because most Capricorns are discipline. And I think that that is one of the hits too, because her son is saying, I'm disciplined, I'm mature, I'm grounded, but her moon is her moon is her moon is wrapped up in the emotions that she normally, if she had more positive aspects, it wouldn't hit as hard. It wouldn't hit as hard. So, this it's all overall. This love it transforms you, right? And this is whether you like it or not. It is what it is, right? But once she has mastered this, and I think that with each relationship she's mastering it, then she'll be able to see relationships, the patterns more clearly, and then she'll be able to recognize it, detach early in a healthy manner, and she won't get lost in people, right? And I believe that she will be able to build something that is love, real love. Hey, from the very beginning. Ooh, wait. I'm looking for that real love. Whew. Mm. Oh my goodness. Let me gather myself, because she's been crying out for a very, very long time, right? And I think that she's evolving, she's transforming, right? And she's recognizing that you gotta you gotta have more than just intensity, right? Ooh, wee. Y'all, I think this is one of the most intense readings that I've done in a while. Cause just listening, just going back, and honestly, I had to kind of stop listening to her music when I went through my transformations in relationships, because the energy was heavy. It was heavy. It was heavy. And we do know that music, it activates energies, it activates feelings, it activates intensity, right? And so, yeah, I had to kind of pull away. Not saying I don't, because I would hear her on the radio or stuff like that. But I used to buy her, and I had to kind of pull. And I will say, I didn't only just pull away from her music, but from love songs altogether. Because love songs, as they were, did not it did not go well with my personal relationship chart. So it was just a personal uh choice or decision that I made, just for my own sanity. But yeah, yeah, this is this is this is a good reading, and I feel good for her. I don't feel like she is doomed. I do think that she is, with each one, she's progressing and has progressed, and she's she's being transformed with that. So yeah, whew, good googly moogly. All right, y'all. That's all I have for Miss Mary J. Blige with her fine ass. And I really do hope that she finds the love that she desires and deserves. All right, y'all. Woo! That's all I got for Miss Mary J. Blige. Y'all let me know how y'all feel, because I'm kind of, like I said, I feel energies. I connect with people. So y'all let me know how y'all feel, and the impact that she has had on y'all and her music, and all of that, because this is a deep one. This is a deep one for me, But yeah. All right, y'all. Like the video. Subscribe if you haven't. Where have you been, twin? Let me know who y'all want to see me do next. Because I love doing the love profile readings, and I love doing the couples readings. Right now, I'm working on Ti and Tiny, and then I'm also working on Judge Lynn Toller. That's kind of a heavy one too. So, but yeah, let me know who y'all want me to do next, and y'all know I will holler at y'all in the next reading. All right, y'all. Make sure y'all subscribe to Taje Astrology as well as my tarot channel, Taje Talks Tarot. And if you look at my main screen on Taje Astrology, that channel is linked right there. Make sure y'all go there and subscribe to that too. I love each and every one of y'all, and I'll holler at y'all in the next video. All right? Salute, salute.